One of the issues that has dominated this year's election cycle was improving the outlook for public education. For Oklahoma's Teacher Caucus, there were some wins and even more losses. But overall, advocates say they're pleased with the results of the election and vow to press on with efforts to restore funding to Oklahoma's education system.
State Superintendent of Public Instruction Joy Hoffmeister, basking in the glow of her win on Tuesday, took the stage at the Republican Watch Party on election night to talk about what the results will mean for education.
And I believe this is about investing strategically in our kids, in their future, and in our schools.
The words were music to the ears of Oklahoma Education Association President Alicia Priest.
We're excited to see that she is also wanting to invest in our classrooms, and so we'll be working with her on moving that plan forward.
Much of that effort will rely on the work of the so-called Education Caucus. Out of 65 teachers, administrators, or education support staff who ran for the legislature in the general election, 16 won their races Tuesday night, including former Tulsa Public Schools Teacher of the Year, John Waldron. Altogether, 9 Republican and 7 Democratic educators will join other education colleagues at the Capitol when the legislature convenes in February. Priest calls that a clear victory for education.
We went from 9 educators in the legislature last year to 25 this year. So that's a huge win for our kids. I'm sure that our Educator Caucus members, plus those pro-public education friendly incumbents, are going to move public education forward as a priority for our state.
Oklahoma State School Boards Association Executive Director Sean Heim says while he would have liked to have seen even more teachers emerge victorious, he nonetheless announced himself pleased with the results.
It's difficult to win a seat, especially against an incumbent. Single subject people often don't win.
A nearly 2-week-long teacher walkout last spring appeared to energize teachers, spurring many of them to file for office in an effort to bring even more attention to education funding issues, including a long-awaited pay raise, which was passed over the objections of some of the most conservative members of the legislature. Primary and runoff elections seem to illustrate the strength of the caucus, as 8 lawmakers who voted against House Bill 1010XX, the funding mechanism for a teacher pay raise, were defeated in the primaries. But 3 other House members who voted against the bill, including Representatives Tom Gann, Kevin West, and Tommy Hardin, cruised to wins Tuesday night, and Representative Kevin McDougal, who put out a Facebook video during the walkout claiming he was not voting for another teacher measure due to his frustration with teachers, also won his race against educator Cindy Ralston, who announced her candidacy after McDougal's video went viral. While it was thought that video would hurt McDougal's re-election chances, Priest says teachers were willing to overlook it.
His record for voting for public education is spot on. So do we let one instance where under high stress and pressure you lose it, negate everything that you've done for your entire term as an elected official?
Educators also threw their support overwhelmingly behind Democratic gubernatorial hopeful Drew Edmondson, who walked with teachers last spring, but Priest believes they can still work with Governor-elect Kevin Stitt, even though he announced earlier in the year that he would have vetoed the teacher pay raise funding package if he were governor.
He assured us that he would not dismantle the funding mechanisms for our education funding, and that it was time to move on past that. So we're going to take him at his word.
Heim says they're also encouraged that Stitt has promised to work for another salary increase, although he notes there are other issues that must be addressed as well.
They want a raise, but the next thing they want is to make sure they don't have 30, 35 students in a class, that they have a manageable number. So we need to invest money in our schools to reduce class size, to make sure that we're investing in textbooks and technology and the other resources needed for the first class education we expect for our children.
More than 40% of the upcoming legislature will be freshmen, which presents educators with both opportunities and challenges.
So we have a lot of conversations to have, relationships to build, to have conversations about where education is, what we can do to improve education, kind of bring them up to speed as they come from all walks of life.
And while Priest says she's excited about the upcoming session, She adds the OEA will not back away from its Together We're Stronger plan to support education, which they unveiled before last spring's walkout.
If year 2 of Together We're Stronger is not passed by April 1st, then we will have another statewide concerted effort. What that looks like, we don't know yet.
Priest says the OEA is not threatening another walkout, but also did not rule one out if lawmakers fail to live up to promises to increase education funding.